Hi, I'm Kathleen Reitz and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to teach you how I paint beautiful, vibrant hydrangeas using a silicone wedge. So let's dive right into it. This tool right here is a Princeton brand Catalyst silicone wedge. If I turn it like this, you can see it's got this very thin side, which I like to call a blade. This tool can be used by anyone, either right-handed or left-handed. Next up is a number 10 filbert brush. This is a super soft brush and is great for blending paint. And here I have glazing liquid. This thins the paint, making it transparent, but also slows the drying time for acrylic paint. Today I'll be using a 12 by 12 canvas. And I've already toned my canvas with a neutral color. And if you're curious about the colors that I'm using today, you can find them listed in the description under this video. Right now I'm just mixing up some color so I can begin to map out the placement of my hydrangeas. And I'm not making perfect circles. I'm simply just mapping out where my hydrangeas will be. Now I'm adding some glazing liquid to my purple paint, and I'm using this glaze to soften the edges of my hydrangeas. Now I'm mixing a really pretty blue color, and I'm going to be adding a couple more hydrangeas, this time in blue. And I'm paying attention to the placement of my hydrangeas. I don't want them to all be floating separately around the canvas. I do want a little bit of overlap. I want different sizes and shapes, and this is going to add a really nice variety to my hydrangeas and my composition. Now here comes the fun part because I'm switching over to my Catalyst silicone wedge. I've mixed up a color that's kind of a medium value in the value range. Value simply means light, medium, or dark. And I'm adding my first layer of petals. And I'm not going to cover the entire hydrangea. I'm only adding the um, first layer of petals to the top portion of my hydrangea, um, where the light is going to hit my hydrangea. So I'm not bringing it all the way down because the bottom part of my hydrangea will be in shadow. So I'm bringing these petals about 2/3 the way down from the top to the bottom of each hydrangea. And again, don't worry about this looking perfect because I still have so many more layers to go. So I'm simply just getting a nice layer of opaque petals put down before I move on to my next layer. And this layer is a slightly lighter value. And now you can see they're really starting to look like petals. And now I'm going to mix up some greenery. This is what I consider to be the most challenging part of this painting. But it's only the first layer, so there's plenty of time to work with it. Now I'm mixing up a glaze so that I can start building my layers in the background, and this will also soften the edges of my hydrangeas and my greenery. Now I'm mixing up a darker value of paint so I can start adding the shadow areas to my hydrangea blossoms. Since I imagine that my light source is coming from above my hydrangea blossoms, the only place that's really going to be in shadow is underneath the blossoms, and then maybe a few areas here and there to add some depth to the blossoms the way that they would appear in nature. So now I'm also adding some shadow areas to my greenery. And now here we go with an even lighter layer of petals on my hydrangeas. Now you're definitely going to want to make sure that you don't make your petals look too solid. I'm using a little bit more pressure on the edge of my silicone wedge. This will add texture to the paint, making it look more like petals. Now switching back to my filbert brush, I'm adding another glaze of color in the background. This also helps me to carve out the shapes of my blossoms and my leaves and soften the edges and just really integrate the background and the foreground. Now I'm using my wedge to shape some stems and leaves. I'm going to keep making adjustments to the values of my hydrangeas until I get the amount of depth and shape that I want for each blossom. While I was painting, I decided to move this painting over to my easel. The painting was starting to feel a little bit overworked to me, and I find working at the easel is a lot more comfortable for me. So now I'm just going in and making some more adjustments. This includes using my paintbrush to soften the transition between the highlighted petals and the petals that are in shadow on my blossoms. Normally I wouldn't need to do this, but unfortunately in this case the painting did get a little bit overworked. So I have to bring it back to a place that I'm happy with. My process is all about building up layers in both the foreground and the background until my painting feels rich and dimensional and complete. And here's my final painting. I love how it turned out with all the different colors, shapes, and sizes of hydrangeas. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please let me know if you have any questions. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to see more of my videos. To dive even deeper into painting hydrangeas, check out my online art course called Hydrangea Gardens, available on my website.